Welcome to Ed Blogcast with Bright Minds, produced by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, where we give students a spotlight to shine. I am your host, Jonalie McIntosh. Thank you for joining us. Today, I am joined by Amare, Clarke, and Skye Knowles, both of Gibson Senior High School. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, I know both of you are coding students, so can you give us a little background for our people who don't know what exactly is coding? Can you tell us what is coding? Skye?
Well, guys probably wonder, where does this app on my phone come from? Where does this website that I search on, or even Google? Well, in order for this to happen, there needs to be a base for it. There needs to be something to run this program. Well, I would say coding is the foundation of a building, and you need this foundation to move on and to get it to work. So I call coding a foundation.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And I know both of you study coding, and Amare, you're a 10th grade student. Skye, you're in the 12th grade. So you may learn different things as it relates to coding. So, Amare, can you tell us what exactly do you learn in your coding classes at CI Gibson?
I learned how to create web pages. So we type all of the information into a notepad, and then we add images and we put all the information there. And then the end result, it shows exactly all the hard work we did on the computer.
Awesome. And Skye, what do you usually learn in your coding classes at CI Gibson?
Well, I've also learned web pages, but also HTML formatting. So on the web page, maybe I'd want this size of text to be larger than the next, a different color, or I'd want this text to be emphasized more than the next. So we learned things like that so far.
Awesome. And what do you like most about learning coding at your school, Amare?
What I like most is the design we could make a web page about, because we could put anything on it and we could add backgrounds, color, and any image we want.
Awesome. What about you, Skye?
What I like about coding is that it's an expressive class. Even though there's rules that you have to follow when first setting it up, you're able to choose what color you want. How is this going to look on your web page or your site? You can choose which text you want to be emphasized out. It's just an expressive of yourself.
Right. And why do you think it's important that not only yourselves but also other students have an opportunity to study coding? Why do you think it's important to learn coding?
I think it's important because in today's society, a lot of people use devices and they don't really know much into coding about the devices. And so when they learn to study it, they can learn everything about coding because it's really part of the computer and all the tasks it functions about.
Awesome. And Skye, why do you think it's important for students to learn coding?
I agree with what Amari said, but also there are others who have a passion for coding or they are interested in this topic. So you wouldn't want to die down someone's passion because they can also make money for them. Say someone said, oh, I have this idea. I want to make a store, but I don't want it also just to be out in public. I want others to easily access. You have people who work office jobs. They can't always step off. For other jobs, they can easily look at a website. Oh, this is neat. I want to check out this person in my free time.
Right. That's great. And I know that both of you in your classes, you may have done projects as a part of your coding studies. What is a project that you've done in coding that you believe that you are most proud about, Amare?
What I'm most proud about is my webpage I created. It has CI Gibson as the title, and it talks about Sports Day and all sports events we did on Sports Day at our school. And it has a nice background color. I like it plain white. And we had a nice CI Gibson image representing the school.
Awesome. What about you, Skye?
What I liked the most of mine was it was a web page about quotes from different persons, empowering quotes from Albert Einstein and others, Mahatma Gandhi. It also had, like he said, a colored background, but I was able to have larger font in different areas and colored font and even just plain white to express myself.
Right. And I know that coding can be used in many different industries. And as part of Career and Technical Education Month, a lot of students celebrated, the the subjects that they are part of that are part of the career and technical education umbrella. And coding is part of that. And I know a lot of you are taught ways how you can use, what you are taught to become an entrepreneur or own your business. So how do you think what you are taught in coding can help you to become, a good business person or an entrepreneur? Skye?
Well, now people look for more multi-talented people instead of just a monotone person because what if you have to easily switch jobs? So like, okay, I'm not just specialized in this one. I can easily switch jobs based on how the world works now. So I think that being an entrepreneur or knowing some bit of coding can push you to make a step. Like you're not holding back.
All right.
You're not in a box because you don't know more information. You have knowledge and you're able to even search more information online. So I think this is needed for others who want to make that step or who want to have more of opportunities than what they have now.
Right, that's very true. And Amari, what do you think? How do you feel you can use your coding skills or others can use their coding skills to become business owners or entrepreneurs?
I feel like people who have skills about coding, they can be a great asset to the business because people who know a lot about coding know more about laptops than others, and they're more like a tech savvy type person, so they could just let the person know what this is and what that is because they might not be used to all of that stuff on a laptop or computer.
Right, and as I mentioned earlier, coding is used in many different industries. There are many jobs that require coding. So, what are some jobs do you feel coding is necessary that you may be interested in as well, Skye?
Well, I feel like coding can partake in any career if you're applying it correctly because, like I said, businesses need web pages. As simple as the banks, people do online banking now. They need some type of coder or programmer to help set up that web page. Or even now, as a school student, I may have to go on our school's website or the Ministry of Education website. I feel like it helps more than one age group or the group inside our country.
Awesome. What about you, Amari? What are some jobs you feel or you may be interested in as a result of learning coding?
Similar to what Sky said, um, people today they can advertise what they want on their web page, like food or a business like a taxi place who pick up people like a Uber, or most likely people in today's society, the young people, they like games a lot. So you could be a programmer and program great games for them to play, and they could enjoy that.
Awesome. I'm glad that you mentioned games because that is something that a lot of younger people who are into coding, they're actually excited about as it relates to games. So, have you guys had any opportunities to learn a bit more about how coding works with the gaming system?
No, we
Maybe.
just started coding in January, so we're just getting into the meat of it.
Okay, I understand. And so, do you all have any plans on pursuing higher education? What exactly do you want to become when you're older, Amari?
I want to become an accountant, so I do plan on going to college and receiving more higher education, being more prepared for the new world out there because it's a lot to take on, so I need to know more.
Awesome. What about you, Skye?
I plan on being a corporate lawyer, so yes, I am planning on taking higher education after high school.
Awesome. And why would you want to be a corporate lawyer?
Because I have experience now in econ. I love that class now. So looking at the way businesses operate and then looking at the financial part inside my accounts class, I found like a passion for looking at the background or the setup of a business, like a business needing a business license to start or the
Right.
agreements that they need to sign. I love looking at that part.
Awesome. And what are some extracurricular activities that you all are part of that you enjoy, that you would probably, want to tell us more about, Amari?
I am in chess club. It's a very great club for students to join because it helps your brain to think and project people moves in the way they choose their paths. So I like to play chess a lot.
Awesome. What about you, Skye?
I am a part of Key Club. I've been part of the Kiwanis family since primary school. I love that I can go out and help the public, but also I can help others inside my club. I feel like a family orientated club in a way. So like growing up under that, I've been able to have opportunities of going out on field trips or going to primary schools, just helping out with the kindergarten or the children. So I really enjoy.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about Key Club and Kiwanis Club for others who may not know much about it.
Okay, so for Key Club, this is the senior high level. So there's different levels. You have a primary school level, junior high level, senior high, and then out of school. They also have also a club for persons who are not maybe able to move around in school or they just have some setbacks. So it's more of a community project,
Mm-hmm.
but we also have different committees like fundraising. So fundraising for the school if needed or for the club, community service project, public relations. So we can't just go out and help others if we don't advertise our club.
I agree, yes.
We have, it's just,
You enjoy it. It's
yes,
fun.
yes.
Yes, that's great. And I know that we spoke about coding earlier and your plans for the future, but do you feel like coding is a subject that you can, find advancement in, that you can probably study, on a more advanced level, probably in college, or are you interested in learning more about it as time go on? Because, you may be learning what's, appropriate for, a high schooler, but are you interested in, what's new in coding and what more you can learn in coding? Amari?
I am interested in that because when I go to college, I want to study business technology and everything involving coding because the more I know, the more I can know about computers and how to fix them and how to do things and organize stuff.
Awesome. What about you, Skye?
I am planning to learn more about coding, but not as a main focus. I'm planning on doing more as like a side hobby or something that I can enjoy. Say I want to create my own little web page or my own little application.
Awesome. And what other subjects are you all interested in? We spoke about coding. I know you mentioned your economics classes. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what other subjects are you interested in at your school?
I'm interested in math. I really enjoy math. And for econ, I've I love that class because first of all, it has a great teacher, Miss Carla Hall.
Mm.
I really appreciate her. I didn't know that I had interest for business like this, but when I looked into econ, it's not just the study of money. I always thought it was like what money was, but no, it's the economy or the country, how the country runs, the different divisions that can be found in the country, where does certain jobs come from, like labor of supply, labor of demand, like how a business runs or why prices might have went up
Right.
or why this product may be seen less and less, even though people want it more. There are reasons or factors that attribute to that.
Awesome. And what about you, Amari? What are some things that you are interested in, well, subjects in your school other than coding?
I'm interested in keyboarding and I'm interested in accounts. So
Awesome.
for accounts, I'm very good at math and I'm very organized at what I do. So in accounts, I could just see transactions and just see how I could fix them and try to add all them up and see what's their end result. And if I get it wrong, I could just double check because I like to do this type of thing. I like math and money and counting together. And so that's why I wanted to be an accountant. That's why I like this subject very much. And for keyboarding actually helps me with my games because I play games a lot on my computer and it helps my fingers to format a nice style of typing on the keyboard and to communicate a lot because when you like typing up letters to communicate to other people, you need to be able to type a letter very, very fast.
Awesome. And both of you mentioned that you also study business subjects along with coding. So how do you feel that you can mesh those two subjects and, help you to, I guess, relate to, what's going on in everyday life as well as, perhaps expanding that knowledge and becoming, I guess, a business owner or, developing your own niche in either business environment or coding?
Well, I feel like they can help because no matter you look past, the things that we learn in business can help us in different aspects of our lives. Simple as accounting, how to calculate a certain percentage or what is needed. Econ, like I've said, it helps me to understand why certain governments make certain decisions for their country. Coding, like I said, web pages, businesses, entrepreneur, and keyboarding, even if you work in a professional or non-professional place, you need some way to communicate or to write up memos. If you want to advertise your business, I can say, I can make a flyer. Flyer, I got this. I know how to do this. I learned
Right.
this in school.
Yes, that's very true. What about you, Amari? Do you feel like you can bring those two things together? You expressed your interest in business as well as coding. So, do you think you can bring those two areas together in the future, or now, as you can relate to everyday life?
Yes, ma'am. I can use accounts to actually manage myself today because when I get money, I need to learn how to budget it and just save it on for later because I can't spend it at all at once. And then coding, I could use that later on inside life because when I start a business, I can need a coding person. It could be me who could understand laptops and computers and all the languages they hold. Because if no one can do that, then the business might need another person to pay for that.
That's very true. And I know that both of you are now preparing for national exams, even in grade 10, and you're in grade 11. So, how is that going? How are you enjoying it, or are you not enjoying it? What all do you plan to do in terms of what subjects you're taking, and how is that preparation going? Skye.
I would say that the preparation is going smoothly. I'm taking 4 BCSEs this year. Even though some days I might not feel like, I don't know if I can study this right now. But once you look, you can't look at what you want now. You have to see what you want for the future. Because, like, studying this and making certain sacrifices, I'm able to make a living for myself. And then once I've studied in grade 11, this is more stress for me once I reach my senior year in grade 12. It's like you can't just focus on the now all the time or your free time all the time.
That's very true. And what all subjects are you planning to study to take for the national exams?
I'm taking English, history, math, and keyboarding.
Awesome. And Amari, what about you? Are you planning for national exams, and what subjects do you feel like you are ready for at this juncture?
Right now, I feel like I'm ready for math because I always put math first in all my subjects because I'm the best at it. And I just understand it a lot more. I see a pattern and rhythm inside math, and I could just get it all right. And now for other subjects, I'm studying really hard and try to memorize what I learn inside class and continue to learn more inside class because the more I know, the more I can just remember inside the exam.
Awesome. And I know that you guys kind of mesh a lot of subjects together in terms of when you study business, you may be learning more about, what's going on in the world today. Even with coding, you can learn math and coding. So can you discuss a little bit about how, subjects can kind of blend, in your studies, like coding? I know you probably use math and coding and
Yes.
other sorts. So can you discuss that as well?
I mentioned I was taking history this year. Even though I'm not taking econ this year, those two subjects mesh as in terms of coursework or looking at the political state of a country, how this country ran. I've noticed that sometimes my econ lessons, like the population rate of a country, matches with my history lessons. I was like, wow, teachers really are telling attention when they said all subjects are linked in some way.
Yes, they are. They are. So what about you, Amari? Do you feel like, subjects can be meshed, especially with coding? How do you feel about, learning more about coding and adding other subjects like math and, things that may go along with it?
Actually, many of my subjects mix into keyboarding because when I type on the keyboard, I have to learn English and know how to use the actual language I speak. And then inside Excel, I have to learn how to use math just in case the computer starts freaking out and I don't understand it. And then there's science because I just write a lot of stuff, and sometimes some scientific names pop inside the book when I typing it out. So I just need to read it and understand what I typing out. Otherwise, I'll just be lost.
Awesome. That's very true. And both of you are CI Gibson senior high school students. So can you give us, probably tell us something that you find unique, that you feel like makes your school special? What do you think makes CI Gibson stand out in all of the schools in our country?
Well, we are second to none, the great CI Gibson Rattlers. I feel like we stand out because the teachers and students have a family-oriented point of view. when it comes to classes, we're not just sitting now, as in we're students that are enslaved to just looking at a plain cut lesson. Teachers sometimes would attribute certain lessons to a way a student may learn, or if they knew, like, okay, this student finishes their work fast, and I know that they walk around because they need something to occupy, I'll print more work for them so that they can better themselves. So I won't blame them for, like, if that's how they are, and I know that they cannot control themselves, maybe they're just a bit fidgety, I cannot blame them for that, what they can't control. So maybe I should help them as a teacher more so they can enjoy their school experience.
Right. What about you, Amari?
So Gibson is a great school, and I encourage students to go there because it's not actually bad. People actually are nice at that school. Teachers are nice. The principal, he's very funny, and he's nice too. And I actually learned a lot in science classes. I did well this year. I got a great GPA, better than what I expected, and my friends they did well too.
Awesome. And I know that you mentioned time management just now. What are some tips that you probably give yourself, as well as some tips that you probably would give other students, who are probably studying coding as well, or who are interested in studying coding and other subjects? What type of tips would you give them and yourself to kind of be better and more studious at what they do so that they can, achieve excellent results?
Well, the first thing that I had to start with when helping myself with time management is looking at what I have to get done, what is my timeline for this task, and when are these things due. Say, okay, I'll focus on this subject more because I have this upcoming test for this, or like I have to study this more because I'm lacking some skills compared to the other subjects. And then I think when people get to the studying part, they think, oh, I have to sit down, read my book, and just reading and memorizing. No, studying can be built to you. Like, you can add studying to something that you do regularly. Say if you enjoy music, right? You could have a little light music playing in the background because not everyone remembers the same. Like, you may remember more by working out or putting yourself in a situation, pretend like you're in that situation that's in that book.
Right.
Or like having somebody else explain to you that's close in the age limit. You might remember it more than someone of a teacher or yourself telling you about what is in that book. So it's all dependent on the person that you are. Look at what helps you more when you're studying, what allows you to feel as though you're not just sitting there bored. Look at different studying guides. Like, there's a lot you can search up, this type of studying way, that type of studying way. Like, it's just not just grim looking in a book.
Right. There are various ways of studying, and it could suit you. Whatever suits you, it's best, it's best that you study that way. What about you, Amari? What are some tips that you have that you feel like, people can use or you can use?
As Skye said, there isn't only one way to study. There's many ways to study. My tip is that you could just mix studying with a bunch of things that you like to do inside your daily life. Like playing games. You don't actually have to play games and then split that time between studying. You could play games that help you study. Like, there's a link to quizzes. You could find the games on there, and you could just look at topics and then play the game, and then you could memorize it, play it over again. If you get some wrong, and then fix your corrections. Then when you reach your class, everyone will be surprised that you actually know what you know.
I actually study like that.
Really? Wow, that's impressive. So what are some tips do you feel like you would give other students who may not be involved in coding or in business, because those two things can come together? What type of advice you would give them as it relates to learning coding and business? And that's part of the career and technical education field. So can you tell us what are some tips that you would give students who may not be involved in those subjects? Why you think it's important for them to learn that?
Well, I would say just as it's important for us to have craft work as engineers or plumbers, it's also important for us to have persons who are technical in some way, because do you think a plumber is going to call another plumber to fix their pipes for them or
Very
not?
true, you're right.
So, like, if you have the information that you need, think of it as I'm saving myself more money. I'm saving someone from being inconvenienced of dealing with more work. I'm saving myself a stress of not knowing how to do anything. So I think it's just a helping, like a little crutch. Coding can be a crutch if you need it.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been an awesome discussion, and I am so excited to see what comes out of this coding group from Skye Gibson Senior High School. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's nice being here.
Well, we have come to the end of this very exciting episode of Ed Vlogcast with Bright Minds. Students, until next time, continue to shine.